When he was just 4 years old, a child called Kamal Haasan came onto a film set and changed cinema history forever. Since then, he has sang, danced, performed stunts, written songs and screenplays, directed legendary films, and of course, acted in more than 230 films across Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Hindi, and even Bengali. So when someone asks you, what's your favorite Kamal Haasan movie? How do you pick 1 or 5 or even 10? Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. Since the man just turned a year younger on 7th November, in today's video, I just wanted to look back and talk about my top 5 Kamal Haasan films of all time. These are my very personal favorites among so many others, and I know each of you are going to have a completely different top 5, so whatever it is, put it in the comments right now. But before we begin this video, I have a small announcement. So to all of you who have been asking me, why you're not making videos in Tamil? Why is Fully Filmy's YouTube channel dead? Why are you not putting videos over there? Finally, I have an answer to both those questions. Starting from this week, I'm also going to start posting Tamil videos on Fully Filmy's YouTube channel. The first video should be already live by now. This is also about Kamal Haasan, but looking at a slightly different aspect, looking at his upcoming films and that one factor that is causing all these upcoming films to happen. So if you do understand Tamil, if you enjoy Tamil content, please go show your support. Go to Fully Filmy's YouTube channel, hit subscribe, check out the video, share it with everyone you know. We really need your support, right? And now let's get into the video. The first personal favorite Kamal Haasan film that I wanted to talk about, Salangai Oli, directed by K. Vishwanath. We live in a time of KGF 2, Triple R, Pushpa, and even Kamal Haasan's own Vikram. All of these are action films driven by the macho image of the lead heroes. Punch dialogues, slow motion entries, violent fight sequences, big explosions. These are the elements that make up a mass film today. But back in 1983, this unassuming drama film about dance had a different kind of mass sequence. We're introduced to Balu, an alcoholic newspaper journalist and art critic. This is a man that we know absolutely nothing about, and on one of his job assignments, he's supposed to go and review this dance performance by Sailaja, a popular female dancer. So after the performance, the rest of the world applauds and praises her performance, but Balu alone gives a super negative review in his newspaper. Seeing this, the next day Sailaja lands up at the newsroom at his office, confronts him and asks him, what the do you even know about dance to write a review like this? And what happens after that is, in my opinion, one of Kamal's best mass moments in cinema. And the best part is, there's no violence, there's no explosions, none of your typical mass elements, but still you feel like getting up from your seat and whistling. One of the things I love about Kamal is how he can portray pain in so many different ways. And this film about the pain of an honest artist, it just breaks my heart every single time I watch it, but still I keep going back to it just to get my heart broken. Another film from the 80s about another honest man, Varumayin Niram Sivappu, directed by K. Balachandar, the man who introduced Kamal Haasan and Rajinikanth to Tamil cinema. The setting of Varumayin Niram Sivappu is the early 80s. This is a time when India was going through this huge unemployment crisis. And in the middle of such a crisis, there's a character like Rangan. No, not that Rangan. This Rangan. Rangan is another well-educated, unemployed man living with his Tamil roommates in Delhi. He's trying to look for a job and he has every quality that's required to get whatever job was there during that time. Except he has this very big weakness.
This is another way of extracting more money. I know.
What do you know, madam? What the hell do you know? You think I'm going to make a big fortune out of this trivial sum and build a multi-story complex in this great goddamn metropolis? Keep it.
His honesty, his straightforwardness, and it's these qualities that don't allow him to adjust at any regular Indian workplace, and he keeps getting thrown out of jobs or never lands up a job in the first place. This is a man who will stay hungry but will not work at a job that goes against his honesty, his ideals, his morals by even 1%. He's never afraid to speak his mind. He's never afraid to express his anger against the system or corruption or against his own father. There's this simple, beautiful scene in which where Rangan gets a haircut and he's coming into the house and his father asks him not to enter the room. And the things that he speaks about in this particular scene, I don't know how much of it is Balachandar's input, how much of it is Kamal's inner ideals, his actual personality coming in, but it's so simple yet it's so hard-hitting even today. Remember when 15 years ago Yuvraj Singh scored 6 sixes in an over against England in the T20 World Cup? This movie is like that in terms of confrontational scenes. Back to back political statements and arguments, and once again without any violence. Take this reply for instance, which is so simple but so relevant.
Rangan, MA Philosophy, Tamil Nadu. Acha, you're a Tamilian.
Tamil speaking Indian.
Next up on this list was supposed to be Mahanati, a film that really impacted me a lot. But honestly, I've just not had the guts to go back to the film after I watched it. I've just watched it once. One of the most deeply upsetting movies ever made. If you haven't watched it, you have to experience it. But purely based on rewatch value, I want to go with a completely different film, a very underrated film. Nammavar, directed by K.S. Sethu Madhavan, written by Kamal Haasan. This film is very close to me for a very specific reason. Maybe it's because when I was in school, except a few teachers, I hardly had any teachers that I could look up to who could be like role models. And I'm sure a lot of you relate to this, right? I've addressed exactly this in a video called Questions I Want to Ask My School Teachers. In this video, you can watch it right here. So when I didn't have teachers to look up to, obviously, like for everything else in life, I turned to cinema. I'd go to the movies to find such characters like Robin Williams' character in Dead Poets Society, Amir Khan as Ram Shankar Nikumb in Tare Zameen Par, and Kamal Haasan as Professor Selvam in Nammavar. If you watched Master with Vijay, you'll know that Lokesh Kanagaraj has kept this reference to Professor Selvan's character. JD, who's played by Vijay, is supposed to be the student of Professor Selvam back in the day. Selvam is his biggest inspiration, and that's because of when you watch the film, you'll understand that Professor Selvam was not a regular professor. He had unique teaching methods. He had this fearlessness against the rest of the staff and the management, against anyone else, and mainly, especially considering how the rest of our teachers are in this society. Selvam was super progressive. Like for that time, this is a big thing. He would enter a class, see boys and girls sitting separately, and ask them to sit together, mingle with each other, get to know one another, become aware of the opposite sex, and also sexually aware, which was and is a taboo topic for most teachers, most colleges, most managements in this country. And beyond just Selvam's character, which is like a really cool character played by Kamal, two other things I love is this electric sexual tension that his character shares with Gautami's character. But the main takeaway, the most memorable scene, the most memorable character from this film is Nagesh, who plays Principal Rao. In the second half, there is this scene in which he goes through a particular shock. Something bad has happened and he has to react to that. And the way he reacts without exactly reacting, the way the scene is written and shot with silences, and the way Nagesh has performed his state of shock. Once again, to an already endless list of amazing scenes written by Kamal Haasan, this is another unforgettable one. Number 4, Apurva Sagodhargal, directed by Singeetham Srinivasa Rao and written once again by our man Kamal Haasan. And the screenplay that he wrote is easily one of the finest masala screenplays ever. And I mean masala in the most positive sense. I really believe masala cinema is India's identity. To understand why, we have to go back to our long-running tradition, our rich database of masala movies, which includes Apurva Sagodhargal right at the top. It's a classic example of how this simple revenge story can get elevated by this fast-moving, focused screenplay. Right from one of the best opening sequences in Tamil cinema, probably in Indian cinema, to the characterizations of the villains, to each of the set pieces. If you remember in 2018, Shah Rukh Khan played a dwarf character in Zero, which was obviously done using VFX. But if you look back in a time in the late 80s when there was no VFX, how the team used practical effects to show Kamal as Appu, the dwarf. How Kamal had to walk with folded knees in the special shoes that they made. How in some shots they used to dig a trench so that Kamal would be placed inside. And all the different camera angles that they used. This is what they call cinema magic. It's another reason why this film is so damn special. And if you can think of a more heartbreaking scene than the ring exchange sequence with Appu in it, I challenge you, put it in the comments. And finally, my all-time favorite Kamal film, Nayagan, directed by who else? Mani Ratnam. I discovered Nayagan on a random afternoon sometime in my first year of college, and once I did, for every day of that month, I watched Nayagan over and over again. In my podcast with Bharadwaj Rangan, there is an entire 15 to 20 minute sequence in which he talks about his experience of watching Nayagan for the first time back in the late 80s, and how for his generation, it was nothing like they had ever seen before, especially in Indian cinema. Visually, musically, performance-wise, the lengths that an actor can go to define his look and his acting, in every way possible, Nayagan is a gorgeous work of art. And even if I wasn't alive when the film came out, I can exactly feel what BR is talking about whenever I rewatch it. What really stands out for me more than anything else in the film is the nature of Velu Nayagan's character. He's supposed to be this gangster, but the way the character is written, it makes him so vulnerable. He is this stoic, introverted man who doesn't speak much in the beginning, but as the film goes along, he becomes more and more vulnerable, more and more unafraid to express his emotions or anger or any kind of emotion. And his equation with his wife, which is once again such a beautifully portrayed, beautifully shot relationship. The way he looks at her, especially like in this shot, it's these moments that really stay with me and what add a whole new dimension to the memory of the film. Apart from all the awards, apart from all the box office success that Nayagan got, Nayagan is literally a landmark film because of all of the changes that it brought along. It changed the way gangsters were shown in cinema. It changed Kamal's career trajectory. It showed the country that films can even be shot like this. And it also gave rise to so many of our best filmmakers today, including Gautam Menon and Vetrimaran, who has watched it more than 47 times, which is just a few times lesser than how many times I watched it. And that was my personal list, my very personal list of my top 5 Kamal Haasan films of all time. I know there are a lot of films that might be better. In your opinion, whatever film that you might feel, put it in the comments. Put your top 5 in the comments. Once again, go check out Fully Filmy's YouTube channel. Go check out the video that I just posted there about Kamal Haasan's possible future and what led to it. I just hope that he comes back. I mean, like properly comes back as an actor, keeps giving us more and more films. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.